And obviously being in the NBA for a few years now, and being in San Antonio for 10 of those seasons, I think it was an opportunity for me to turn the page of a new chapter. And speaking about Brooklyn and everything that I've learned on the court, off the court, the culture of the city. I think it was something that was very attractive to me and my wife. So to be able to make a next step, I guess, in our life was very exciting for us. The familiar faces around the organization is something that was very comfortable as well, especially for my wife. But I think at the end of the day, the culture of what the city is, the organization is, and everything that is based around that, I think was very intriguing to me and interesting.
Brian Lewis from the New York Post.
Hey, Patty. Thanks for taking the time to do this, and welcome to New York. I'm curious if I could dig down on that a little further. I mean, if you could touch on, I guess, how all these familiar faces, so many Spurs all over this organization, made things easier or made the decision easier. And secondly, when you were looking at places or looking at deciding whether you were going back to San Antonio, how much of a role did kind of where both teams were in their build? I mean, San Antonio is kind of starting what looks like it could be a rebuild, and this team is obviously a championship favorite. How much did that play a role?
Yeah, to answer your first question, I think it's important to point out that it was such a extraordinary circumstance with free agency being in the middle of the Olympics, and knowing where my head was in the trenches, so to speak, of trying to get our first Olympic medal. To know that the free agency was going to be right in the middle of it definitely did make it quite tough. But I think the thing for me was like not being able to have the conversations that I wish I would have had leading into such a big decision like that. So, taking the time over the last couple of weeks in hotel quarantine, it was a good time to to catch up on all of those, decisions. But I think that, turning to a new chapter and, going to a new place, it was definitely something that, knowing that we know people throughout the organization and in the city as well, I think it was comforting to know that, there are people there that, look after us and look after my family. So that was very comforting. Yeah, and then basketball specific, I think, I'm a culture guy. That's who I am, and I guess what makes me tick. So to be able to dive in deep to what the culture of Brooklyn and everything that's great about that and what it has to offer, I think was the next step of being able to dig down deeper into the decision. And I think that's something that I'm really excited about.
Greg Logan with Newsday.
Hi, Patty. I'll add my welcome as well. Nice to see you here. When you look at the bronze medal game that you had, 42 points, some people said that it kind of showed that you were playing in a different system in the Olympics than you played with the Spurs. And then people extrapolated from that to say, well, you're going to be in a different system with the Nets that's going to give you more offensive freedom. What do you think the fit will be like for you in terms of your offensive ability and even prolonging your career?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it's one of those things that's an exciting opportunity for me to even know that there's a difference of a different opportunity to be able to see how I can fit. the conversation that I've had already, and the conversation that I have with Kevin was so pure and so genuine. Being able to understand that he's such a pure hooper, and to go back and forth about basketball specifics. I think, to answer your question, it was exciting for me to know that that there's an opportunity there for me to try to be who I am, like I am with the national team. And obviously the Olympics is is one thing, and the role and the leadership and the position that I'm in with the Australian team is one thing. And I think, after a good Tokyo Olympics campaign, I think being able to ride the wave of that momentum and take it into Brooklyn is something that I'm looking forward to as well. But again, that style and freedom, of what Steve does such a great job with, and obviously now, being amongst the best players in the world, it's just a really exciting opportunity that I think I'll be able to thrive off. So to share the court is with guys like that, I think I'm really eager to continue to learn about the game and continue to get better myself and find little ways that I can do that.
Alex Schiffer, The Athletic.
Hey, Patty, welcome to Brooklyn. Greg kind of took my question. So to pivot a little bit, you talked about all the familiar faces in your conversation with Kevin. Was there a primary recruiter for you from the Nets, whether that was Sean or Kevin or someone else, or was it a group effort given all the people you know here?
Yeah, it was a group effort. I think that everyone made, a genuine impact. I was kind of, again, extraordinary circumstances, right, with the Olympics, but I was really, blown away by everyone's individual, effort to be able to, and it just seemed so genuine and raw at the same time. But I felt so welcomed. Even before, everything had actually happened. So again, I think it speaks volumes on the organization and the culture and the family of what, Sean Marks has created there. And again, it's something that I'm and my wife are attracted to, that family sense, that culture sense, and all the little pieces that make all of that up. So, it's already feeling like a fit in that sense. And then you start to talk about the basketball aspect of things, right? And it gets me excited. So I'm finally back in Australia after 2 years of not being able to see my family and all of that. So I'm excited to be here, but I'm extremely excited to get back and get to Brooklyn.
Kane Pittman, NBA Australia.
Hey, Paddy, I won't welcome you to Brooklyn. I'll welcome you back to Australia. But my question was around the Olympics as well. You've already sort of pointed to the fact that there was such a strange situation with that going on. So everyone knows how locked in you were. I was talking to Jock last week, and he said that he wasn't even sure about telling you about the signing with the Spurs because you were so locked in. So how did you navigate that process? And then I guess the other unique aspect of it was Pop was there also. So we know the relationship you guys have. How did you tell him? Did you discuss with him that you were leaving San Antonio? How did that all play out?
Yeah, again, it's like, how can you prepare for something like this? You've been in a place for, 10 years. Now your head is buried in, an Olympic campaign that you're so proud about, representing your country and trying to get this elusive medal that Australia's never got before. And next minute free agency is in the middle of all that. So you can probably understand the extraordinary circumstances. And for me, being able to be prepared for a lot of things is something that I take a lot of pride in. So it was one of those things, like, how can I prepare for this before I enter the national team sort of realm. So from my standpoint, I done all I could and done the research that I needed to do, which gave me confidence to be like, all right, I'm going to go into the national team and be there. So when it came up now and the information came through while I was in the village, by that stage, it was almost, obvious, and a calculated decision, if you will, combined with what the gut was feeling, that it was Brooklyn. But it was hard. And to your other point, again, it was hard for me to know that I couldn't have those conversations that I usually would in a normal world. And not that no one, didn't understand where my head was. It was more for myself, I think, just, courtesy phone calls, heads up, that kind of thing. But the one person I was able to talk to was Pop. And obviously everything that he has done for me over my career on the court and especially off the court, something that he definitely obviously deserves. So being able to do that was special, and that was really the only conversation that I was able to have. So yeah.
Christian Winfield with the New York Daily News.
Hey, what's going on, Patty? Welcome to Brooklyn. This organization obviously has made they've made it known that they're trying to win a championship, right? Like there's no doubt about that. You've won a ring in your past. In 2014, I believe, was when the Spurs won, and you were part of that roster. What did you learn from that title run that you feel like you might be able to bring to Brooklyn as they're trying to chase this championship window?
Yeah, a few things, and then that's kind of a broad question, which is a great opportunity to work out, like, a broad situation, I guess, which is exciting for me to work out. Okay, how can I fit myself into to make a greater impact on the team and for the team? And I think, knowing that you're all in for a championship, and you have that mindset and feel throughout the group that, every day it's working towards something. That's an exciting feeling to know, every time you walk in the gym or in the weight room, it's for a championship, and it's for the betterment of the team. I think it would start there. What can you do individually to be able to make the group better? And then you can go from there. So, a lot of it starts in the locker room. A lot of it starts, off the court, to be able to come together. And this is a great, opportunity for me to be able to insert myself into a group that's already established. And I think it's and I keep going back to the culture thing, because I've just been, surrounded by, my countrymen and everything that went around the Olympics. But there's something there about, really diving into almost, the stuff of what it means to be a net, and that connection to the Brooklyn community. I think there's something there. And then it's the understanding of the NBA and the season and the marathon of games that it is, and how to go about it. So it's a lot of all of the above. But I think if for me anyway, getting my mindset on that starting point and then build from there, I think it is. But I think what I'll be able to bring is that leadership and that experience of coming from a winning culture environment.
Roy Ward, The Age Sport in Australia.
G'day, Paddy. It's Roy here, mate. Would love to know your thoughts about being back in the real sort of big spotlight of being in a top NBA side. I know every NBA team's big, but we know the Nets are going to have such a huge spotlight on them this season. How are you feeling about that? And have you had a chance to show the medal to your parents yet, or are you still to catch up with them?
Yeah, mate. It's super exciting, to know that, you're in a position, as I said, to know that you're playing for something each and every day, and it's the competitive fire underneath me that enjoys that, and that welcomes the spotlight, welcomes those big moments, and it's stuff that makes you want to get better and continue to learn about the game and learn about yourself and how you can find ways to be able to continue to grow. So you almost welcome all of that, and it's never going to be a smooth sailing ship. You know, there's going to be ups and downs. And I think one of the most important things to understand is that it's, you know, not to ride the highs too high and ride the lows too low. You know, it is a marathon. And I think if you can just try to steady the ship as you go, you know, I think that's how you got to go about it. So at least that's how I've done it, my career. So whether it's in the spotlight or not in the spotlight, I'm just, you know, really looking forward to the opportunity to compete for a championship and understand what it takes on a day-to-day, game-to-game basis. And yeah, of course, mate, like I am super fresh out of quarantine, as I only got out yesterday. So to be able to be with the family yesterday and last night, just you know, a ton of raw emotions, being able to deliver you know, hand deliver an Olympic medal to our country and to my family. So there was a lot of emotions, a lot of tears yesterday and last night, as you can imagine. But on top of all of that, just excited to be back home, to be honest, and see the family again. Obviously, in a COVID world, it's been quite tough. So, you know, I've got my good Australian coffee, which I'm also very excited about Brooklyn, knowing how many good local, you know, mum and pop coffee cafes there are. That's something that I'm super excited for.
We'll go back to Greg Logan.
Patty, you know, we assume that you'll be the sixth man. And a lot of times the way the Nets work their rotation, they like to use Harden with the second unit. Can you just give us some thoughts on how you're going to fit with James Harden in the backcourt and how excited you might be for a pairing like that?
Look, I think it's a puzzle that you know, you're excited about putting together and working out how it fits. And I think that journey of the process is exciting. It's exciting for me, and I hope it's exciting for others. You know, working out how this is gonna work. That's part of the journey that I think I thrive in. You know, and again, it's back to the point of, you know, what can you do for the betterment of the team, and having that understanding and going back and forth. It's a conversation, yeah, and I think that's what I'm excited about. You know, and you go back to the point and the conversation that I have of being able to, you know, be in an environment where you're empowered to be yourself. And I think looking, you know, from an outside in last season and seeing how, you know, seeing that's you know, a massive characteristic, I guess, of the team is how everyone feels empowered, and not just James, but, you know, everyone else as well. So. Yeah, look, I'm obviously haven't been to Brooklyn yet, so those conversations we can dive in more. But you know, I'll stand by my guns and say that I'm really excited by you know, the opportunity just to go through that journey and work out you know, that process, I guess.
Malika Andrews, ESPN.
Hey, Patty, I know you said that the conversation that you had with Pop was really special. I'm just wondering if you can elaborate on what it's like to work with a coach that you can have that sort of conversation with, even if it doesn't end up with you staying in a place or you're moving to a different place, what that conversation is like.
The conversation is, you know, is comfortable. I wouldn't say that it's easy, but it's a comfortable conversation because it extends far beyond basketball. So now when you have the conversation, it's, you know, it's genuine love there and support for, you know, your career as a person more than anything. And you know, it's almost like basketball almost wasn't, you know, or isn't a part of the conversation. And I think that's just a testament to him, number one, of, you know, really caring about his players and going the extra mile to understand his players on a different level. And obviously this is, something that I've picked up from him over the decade that I was with him. But, how he's able to connect his players to the outside world, that there is a world out there that's bigger than basketball and very meaningful. And you learn about that stuff because of him. So now when you have these conversations, it's there's a lot more meaning there. And obviously the time that we spent together and how much that I've learned from him, the background and the ups and downs, the highs and lows that we share. I think all that comes into play too. But it was just a comfortable conversation, and they all are, because it comes from a genuine place.
Thank you.
Back to Christian Winfield with the Daily News.
Hey, Patty, do you have any, I guess, special memories of playing against Steve Nash? And what's it like to now be playing for someone that you used to play against?
Yeah, well, I always, people ask, when I was younger, in the league, of who my favorite player was to play against, and it was Steve Nash. And it wasn't necessarily that I was guarding him or he was guarding me. It was more so, you get to see up close and personal how he plays and how he approaches the game, and that was something that was very exciting for me. So I may or may not have been a part of the game in a slight way to end his career in Phoenix. So that's a memory that I thoroughly enjoyed anyway. I don't know if he did, but a memory for me, was his last game in Phoenix playing. And obviously working, I've worked close with Steve in the past since he's been retired, to be able to really dive into the details of what it takes to be able to continue to learn about the game and to continue to learn about your body. And for me, it was that, I'm not the biggest player in the NBA or the strongest. So, finding little nicks here and there to be able to continue to get better, and that's stuff that you get out of his book, you get out of Manu Ginobili's book. You get older and things change, your game changes. How can you find ways to continue to grow and continue to develop so that you can continue to get better, I think is the point. So I'm really looking forward to picking Steve's brain and continue to learn from him.
We'll go to Max Sherry.
Hi, Patty. Max Sherry from Lad Bible. We just wanted to know, during your time with the Boomers in Tokyo, which Aussie-based player impressed you the most? And do you think they're kind of NBA caliber, so to speak?
Which NBA Australian player impressed me the most? Look, I was really impressed with Jock Landale. I've always thought that he's been deserving to be in the NBA, for a few years now. So to be able to see him get his opportunity, obviously in San Antonio, is something that I was, incredibly happy and proud of him. It's thoroughly deserved. He's obviously in a good situation there. I can talk about that. Matisse Thybulle, obviously my opportunity to be able to play with them, it blew my mind how well he fit into our team, on the court, number one, and being able to guard multiple positions, and his impact on the offensive end too, but more so how he fit into our group was really special. And then, Josh Giddey, even, for someone who's young and, didn't make our Olympic team this year, how much he felt a part of our group, even not making the team. And obviously excited to see how he goes as a rookie and, as a elder statesman of the Australian team, here for his support. Here for him to be able to support his growth as an NBA player.
Back to Tom Dowd.
Patty, Adam Caporn was with you guys in Tokyo on the coaching staff. He's coming to the Nets as well to coach the G League team. What's your experience been like working with him, and what's he going to bring to the organization?
Yeah, he's a pain in the ass, mate. He's the Aussie that you guys have got to look out for. Look, he's great. I've known Adam Capon for a long time. AAS days in Australia, St. Mary's as well. That connection there is strong, and to be able to work with him on the national team at the World Cup in 2019 and then this one. It's those connections that you make, and you continue to grow and see how he operates on a professional level as a coach. So, a great opportunity for him and a great opportunity for, everyone else to see how he goes about his craft. So working with him with the national team, his attention to detail, his knowledge about the game, high basketball IQ, and his ability just to have feel for his players and his team and his ability to connect with those players. So obviously a super new environment for him, but one that I think he will thrive in. So it's good to know that he's got that opportunity.
Matt Brooks, Matt Staley.
Hey, Patty, welcome to Brooklyn. You were a Spur for 10 years and you ushered in a lot of new players. Now you're kind of the new guy for the Nets. Are you excited for that, next opportunity? And how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I am excited. Again, it's a new opportunity. It's a new, a fresh start. So being the new guy, it's like trying to find ways to be able to, make not make an impression, but make an impact for the greater of the team and all of that, And for me, I've always found that it starts obviously off the court and making those connections and friendships and camaraderie, I guess. So it's almost like back to the drawing boards, but being able to start over as a new guy, it's fun. Like all of these things that come up, it's like I'm really looking forward to all of it. I think it's a great opportunity, especially for me and my wife, where we're at in our life as well, to be able to get a sense of living in a big city.